And it's just the 19 points now over Napoli, with the two Milan clubs in third and fourth. Of course, the whole reason they were playing Friday night is the Champions League at tilt with Atletico on Tuesday. Paulo Bandini joining us now. First of all, your reflections on what you saw tonight. Much changed team for Allegri. Same story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the big story tonight is definitely Moise Kean. He's someone who we've been, I guess, all sitting and waiting to see him explode and become the player that we hope he can become. He made his debut a couple of years ago for Juventus and was at the time the first, well, and still is the first player born in the 2000s to appear in Serie A, or indeed, I believe, the top 5 European leagues. Then became the first player born in the 2000s to appear in the Champions League. And of course, everyone's very excited about that moment. And 2 years later, we still haven't seen a lot of him. He went on loan to Verona last season, had a moderately productive season. He scored 4 goals there, which doesn't sound like a lot, but actually made him their joint top scorer, because Verona were a mess last season. He was getting moved all over the attack. So he's obviously a real talent. I mean, you can see from the goals he scored tonight, so fast, so aggressive and confident in the way he attacks the ball. I really thought for that second goal, that was just a bullish move by a player who saw an opportunity and took it. Confident in front of goal as well, and yeah, a huge prospect. So I suppose of all the things that could have happened for Juventus tonight in this game, look, it's Udinese, who are near the bottom of the table, who are struggling, who are playing poorly. Of all the things that could have happened that might have given the club a lift, having a teenager who's exciting, who can get fans feeling good again, is probably about as good a scenario as they could have dreamed of, really, because there was nothing that you could do in this game that's going to completely transform what's the reality, which is that the real game is the one against Atletico in midweek.
Well, another thing that happened, Paolo, was they did score 4 for the first time this season. They had a lot of 2-0 and 3-0 leads. They are 3-1 in terms of the odds to advance to the quarterfinal at home to Atletico Madrid, who are 1-4 on. When you look at the overall odds to win the Champions League, well, Atletico are third favourite at the moment, and Juventus ranked twice as long at 16-1. Gents, what's your feeling coming ahead of Turin in Tuesday? It's not out of the question by any means, is it?
It's not out of the question, but it's going to have to be a heck of a night in Turin, a heck of a performance. And there was a host of players left out today. And, you know, they're going to have to defend better than they did in Madrid, because that was poor, particularly from set pieces. And they're going to have to break down one of the most organised teams of the last decade of European football, without a shadow of a doubt. And so I suppose a big night for Ronaldo is needed again. And ultimately that's why he's gone to this club, to take them over the line again in the Champions League.
Ali, what's your feeling?
Well, as I said back after the first leg, and I'll say that now again, if you gave me the choice of all those things that we just saw in the odds there, including Juventus, and you gave me a choice of what group of players would you want to defend a 2-0 lead away from home, it would be, without a doubt, without any question, Atletico Madrid. They are made for this. They loved it. They embrace it. They enjoy it. This is what they live for. This is what Diego Godin sleeps at night and wakes up and says, yes, I get to defend for 90 minutes. It's what they do best. And I just don't see how Juventus gets around that.
They do it very well indeed, Stevie. Can Juventus find a way past?
I can't see it.
No.
I don't see them. Listen, the one thing that Juventus haven't done well recently is keep a clean sheet. So if Atletico score, they've got to score 4. I mean, I don't see them scoring 2, never mind 4. So I just don't see any way. Yes, so far we've had incredible upsets, but I just don't see a third one.
Paolo, of course, Ronaldo will be licking his chops, lives for these sort of occasions, doesn't they? These are two teams that have competed in 4 of the last 5 finals. What's your sense of the balance of power in this tie?
Well, you know what you say, he's licking his chops and he lives for these nights, and it's true when we look at his career, but so far at Juventus he scored 1 Champions League goal, and I think that, frankly, he's due. Juventus need him, and it's not all his fault. There's been plenty else wrong with this team, and you could point a big finger at the defending in that first leg, but at the same time, you sign someone for 100 million, even if he's not getting perfect service, you want him to do something, right? You want him to show up and drag the team at moments, and he hasn't done that in Europe so far this season. So it's a big night for Ronaldo. I think it was very interesting, obviously, that he's been rested in this game against Udinese, which we haven't really seen so far this season at Juventus. The first time they tried to rest him away to Atalanta, he wound up having to come on and save the day because they were losing. So at least he's going to come in with fresh legs, but it's a huge night for him. My sense personally is a bit the same as Stevie's. I'm not sold that this Juventus team, the way it's playing, can keep a clean sheet. I think, again, to look at tonight's game, even against Udinese, even in a game they're totally in control of, giving away a cheap goal at the end. And yeah, that's the big risk for me, because if they concede one, it's going to be a huge hill to climb.
Paolo, a huge night for Ronaldo. Is it also a massive night for Max Allegri? Reports of a rift between him and the Juventus president?
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting night to see how it pans out afterwards. There's certainly tension there at the moment, and Allegri sort of challenging the board recently and saying, look, if you don't want me here, I can go. And his mentor as well going out and giving having a conversation in the press where he suggested that Allegri's going to leave at the end of the season, whatever happens. I don't think that Juventus, the way they operate, the way the club is set up, that we're likely to witness a situation like we did with Roma, where if Juventus lose, Allegri gets sacked the next day and that's it. I think it's more likely to be resolved one way or another at the end of the season. But there's no question for Allegri that if they don't win this tie, if they don't turn this around, this season has been a failure. It was said at the beginning of the season quite openly by Juventus directors, by players, by Allegri himself, look, we're going for the Champions League. And again, when you sign Cristiano Ronaldo, you have to be setting your bar higher. And so if they go out, this season has been a failure. That doesn't categorically 100% mean he's gone. I think there's still a possibility that there's a conversation that happens that changes things, but I would certainly weight it heavily towards Allegri going at the end of the season if they lose this game. But it's also possible that he'll go at the end of the season even if they win this game. So I think that's slightly the way the wind's blowing either way, if I'm being absolutely honest.
OK, final words on this tussle and Turin for now, and it's the ones you always enjoy. Prediction. Who's going through, Paolo? Can Juventus do it?
Exactly as the guys were saying in the studio, they can do it. I just don't think they will. I think Atletico are going to go through.
Let's see if they all concur here. Any takers for Juventus?
No, thank you.
What did I say 2 weeks ago? Can't remember. No, it's too tough, I don't think.
Not happening?
Well, as a sidebar, by the way, speaking of the other managers, Diego Simeone doesn't get suspended after you're grabbing his private parts and what have you. That doesn't play a part into what happens on the field, but the emotion of Diego Simeone also carries his team out on the field. So I think it's important that he's on the sideline. Anyways, Atletico Madrid goes through.